but it's also shrunk due to perspective.
Right.
So
exactly.
So it changes all the time. When people say, "Why does the sun never shrink?" That's a lie. It does shrink sometimes.
Right.
It all depends on the medium you're looking through. And I got the sun fade out today because I got the sun far enough away where the atmosphere just ate it. And that's what happens when you're looking across the atmosphere, across the atmospheric cloud deck. That is going to be opaque in a very short distance, and that's how the sun sets. That's how things disappear behind it.
Absolutely. And another thing I'll show when I do my video about these observations is just in my garage, I laid down one of my dog's blankets. It's just a very thin, like one-ply blanket, and I laid that out on the ground and put my iPhone camera upside down behind it. And then off in the distance, I put a couple nuts and bolts that are all, a nut that's all the same size. And you can actually see that those nuts and bolts, they disappear behind that blanket. And it's the same kind of idea. Is that when you're down at the ground level and you're looking out at the waves and at the ocean out in front of you, that it acts like that thin little blanket would. And things off in the distance drop behind that blanket. When they're on the same, it's all level. The garage is level. So I mean, there's so much that goes into it. That's why I want to take a couple more observations. I did do a live stream from Lovers Point, so people can check that out on my channel if you just want to see how pretty the Monterey Bay was. I also did some time-lapse footage with my GoPro camera. Another thing that has come up that now I've got proof of it. But even I think there's 5 modes and I have a GoPro 5. It's called a GoPro Hero Session 5, I think is what it is. It's not one of the newest ones. I don't know what number they're up to now, but it is, within 2 or 3 years new. And there's like 5 modes on it. The reason I got this particular GoPro is the first one to come out with a linear mode. So there's a couple modes. One of them is L for linear. The other one's W for wide lens, which is the fisheye. There's another one called Super, which is for super wide. There's one called Narrow. And I think there's one more. I can't think of it right now. But anyway, the linear mode was the first time that GoPro had come out with this linear mode, which was supposed to correct all the fisheye. It's supposed to be straight across. Well, clearly, when you take a time lapse of the beach, from the beach, and you're looking out at the horizon, clearly the video curves the edges. Clearly. And it's supposed to be linear mode. So when you start thinking about all these balloons being launched up, even if they have a GoPro, even if it's in linear mode, it's still going to show curve. It's just the way it goes, because it shows curve on the ocean that's right in front of you. You can see it with your eyes that there's no curve. Again, your eyes are spherical, and so you look straight ahead. You can kind of see how maybe the sides would be pulled back for your perspective. Again, if you just turn to that location, then again, that's flat, and the sides in the right and left pull back. But in this linear mode, it should be straight across, and it clearly isn't. So that's another thing I want to show, that GoPro has this linear mode. Hey, it gets rid of fisheye, but it doesn't. It's still a fisheye, and the reason why is because all cameras have to be. I think I'm not really sure there's a way that you cannot be, because you're using basically a spherical lens. So I don't know what you think about that.
I'm noticing that my GoPro, I have the basic GoPro. I don't even know which one it is. I did a time lapse of the sky the other day, and it was very fisheye. Like
right.
The chemtrails were coming in and curving through the video. I didn't really care because it was just about what's going on in the sky. But is there a setting to fix that, or no?
No, I think you can put it into an after editor, and they have like ways of de-fisheyeing, but even that doesn't really do the job. And like this linear mode, that is the reason I bought that GoPro camera, is supposed to completely straighten it out, but it doesn't, and I don't think it's really possible for it to do so, because it's looking at so wide of an area. It's kind of seeing as wide as almost your eyes do, although I think our eyes are 10 times better. I mean, because we can see, can we see more than 180 degrees? I'm pretty sure it's more than 180 degrees, which is just
crazy.
It's crazy to think about. It is absolutely insane that our eyes work that well, better than any camera, because even these cameras...
I can see 360 degrees.
Can you now?
It's
pretty impressive. Who's behind you right now? Tell Paige hello.
Nothing. There's a map behind me.
Okay.
Hey, great job on Globebusters. And Morgile did a breakdown of Professor Dave, or whatever his name was. Did you watch that?
I did. It was good and short.
Yeah, excellent. I mirrored it on the Flat Earth Podcast Facebook page, and I used his exact title, and I used his description, but wherever he said Flat Earth, I wrote Globe. And
Is that like how you're stacking the tags in the opposite direction?
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? If you're gonna debunk a video, and if you put it out there as so and so debunk flat Earth, it's not gonna go anywhere, and only the people, only a small group of people are gonna see it. Name it the exact same name of the video, and use the exact same description, and even use the same tags if you can. Now, if you get struck, don't blame me.
Right. So take advice at your own peril.
Yeah, I think that when people are searching for these things, Simon Dan, whatever, they might come across your debunking video.
Right. No, I thought it was great, and hopefully people checked out Glowbusters. Everything but the initial 4 minutes of the show were really good.
I missed the first 4 minutes, so we're good.
Did you? Okay, great.
Yeah, I did. Totally.
I also learned the hard way on something. I asked Bob after the show, I said, do you want me to cut out the first 4 minutes? And he said, yeah, please. So I went into the Glowbusters account and chopped off the first 4 minutes, which I know how to do pretty well now, because what I do when my videos are done, if people know my live streams, I start out with a 1.5-minute countdown clock. And the reason I do that is because I notice if you just go live and start talking, you don't have a lot of viewers. Maybe there's 1, 2, 5, 10, and it goes up to 50, 100. But it takes a little bit of time. After about 2 minutes, you have your kind of audience there. So I put that timer in just to kind of build the audience, and then I begin my show. Well, after I'm done, I go in and I chop off that intro so that people who are not watching it live don't have to watch that. Well, I just found out today, kind of the hard way, Bob told me, hey, did you know that when you cut off the beginning of Glowbusters that it got rid of the live chat replay? And I'm like, what? I'm like, has that been happening to all my videos? So sure enough, I go check, and all my videos that are live streams have had the live chat replay turned off. I didn't even know that, and the reason why is because I was going in and chopping off that first minute and a half. Do you dislike my?
If you want the chat, then you have to stop doing it. If you don't care, take it out.
I think people enjoy the chat, so maybe they want to see the live chat again. I don't know what people like. I don't really watch the chat much when I watch people's shows, because there's just so much nonsense in there. I would like to watch the chat of somebody who maybe had, like when Owen Benjamin did his members only chat. Yeah. Remember when he had channel memberships turned on?
Yep.
So you could actually have live streams where only people that were paying $5 a month could chat. Now those are fun to watch. But when I try and go back and watch a Nathan Oakley show or something like that and watch the chat, it's nauseating. So I don't know. That's why I was asking you. I don't know if people dislike that little intro that I do. Maybe I could get rid of it if they don't mind it, and then I'll just leave it for even people who watch it later. I don't know. We'll have to think about that one.
You could always jump forward. It's not a big deal.
It's not that big of a deal, right? But yeah, read the chat sometime, and read the comments sometime, and you'll see people hooing and hawing about it. So can you talk a little bit about Christopher Green's AMTV? I thought his video this week was awesome.
Yeah, he did two videos. Came out because of Trojan Paul and YouTube hiding flat Earth. He said, now I'm looking into it. And I had a bunch of back and forth with him maybe a year or two ago, trying to get him to look at flat Earth, and he did what we all did. Just laughed at me and started ignoring me after a while. But now he's looking into it. Now he sees it. He's a bit on the Bible side, which is fine.
Fine.
And he did another video, which he didn't even say it was about NASA or anything, but he started out with an EMP discussion and then just got into NASA bashing, and I thought it was great.
Yeah, I did too. I thought it was really good. So if you haven't checked that out, that's the channel AMTV. What does that stand for? Alternative Media TV.
Alternative Media TV.
Yeah, so definitely check that out. But yeah, and for people, I had a lot of comments that I saw that most of them got deleted when they said, Jeran, why are you doing shows with Robbie Davidson? He's a Christian and you're not. And man, that stuff makes me so mad, because it's like, all I care about, I don't care what your beliefs are, just as long as you're a good person. It doesn't bother me that anybody's a Christian. That's fantastic. If that makes you a good person, then how could you ever hate that? And like I said before, my mom's a great person, at least in my mind. I've told the story before that when she retired, I asked her, well, what are you going to do now? And she says, well, I've got to visit some people in prison. I'm like, who the hell are you visiting in prison? She goes, well, I don't know, but Jesus said that you should visit people in prison. And I'm like, man, how could you ever hate on something like that when, that's the kind of person it creates? And, I was definitely raised with morals and to be a good person and to help others and to not be so selfish. And I owe a lot of that to my Christian upbringing. So when I hear things like that, I think it's insane that people say things like that.
I'll tell you something very interesting. Mark Sargent sent me a video today of a kid going through, I think it was a campus. I think it was like Harvard or somewhere. And he's basically going through asking people, do you think the earth is flat or round? What shape do you think the earth is? Just going up, rapid fire. And everyone's like round. There's like two people that said flat. And then he'd ask them, why do you think that? And they're all like, and of course they can't come up with anything. And then he'd randomly ask some of them, do you believe in God? And every single person said no, just no. And it kind of struck me. It just really kind of struck me that these people that are just blind,
right?
They're, it's working. Look
Absolutely.
at the world. I mean, guess what? I was one of those people a few years ago.
Dave, and there's no question as to why, because you cannot, at least I struggle, and that's why when like Carlos calls in, who is a global believer who listens to the show, but he's a Christian, and I really struggle with those people because I say, how can you be a Christian and think that God created this earth and then all the other planets and all the other galaxies, and for what? What is the point?
So the answer is because he's more than we can imagine, and the earth isn't just enough for him.
But think about the trillions and trillions of miles and nonsense and planets and orbits.
How all-powerful God is. Don't put a limit on him. That's what the lost Christians will say.
Right.
It's fascinating, and I have to tell you, my favorite Christian flat earther to listen to is Rand.
Oh,
I keep want to say Rand Paul, flat out elected.
Okay.
Rand Campbell.
There you go.
If anyone doesn't know him, tune into his channels. He just does these rants, and he literally has great information flowing through him. And if you're not a Christian, he's not going to tell you you're going to hell.
Good.
Okay.
I'd rather not be told that.
I actually had we had a Skype call. I was driving a long drive, and we talked for probably 90 minutes. And it was probably one of the better conversations I've had with somebody in a long time. And we were both listening to each other and throwing ideas around. And it was really, really a great conversation. So
right.
Flat Out Elected is the name of his channel.
Yeah, so check that out. And I also heard on the podcast that there's a possibility, and again, nobody hold this to anybody, it's just an idea, that maybe send Owen Benjamin an invite to the conference this year, huh?
Yeah, so what do you think about that idea?
I love it.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Where he'd come, and then we'd offer him late night after the kids go to bed,
Sure.
let him do a comedy show. Vulgar, foul-mouthed comedy show, and if you don't like it, don't pay the $10 or $20 to get in or whatever it is. Right. I think he likes cheap ticket prices. So if we get enough people, and then also, what would be great? Open it up to the public. So any of his fans that are in town, they can come see him, and they're going to be surrounded by flat earthers.
I think it's a great idea. I mean, I don't think anybody could say that that's not a great idea. It would be fun for us. It would be fun for anybody in attendance, and I certainly would pay $10 for a good comedy show. I enjoy comedy. The other thing that I'm doing a video that's going to come out this week. It's supposed to be out already, but I've fallen a little bit behind on it. But it's just called "Are We Spinning?" But David, I don't know if you've ever seen this before, but I was kind of doing some research for this video. I had to learn about angular velocity versus linear velocity. I was a little bit confused on that, and once you figure that out, you can see why all the Globers want to talk about angular velocity. Because if you think of a merry-go-round and you think of the horses on that merry-go-round, a horse very near the center and a horse near the edge actually have the same angular velocity, which is just crazy to think, because you're like, well, what are you talking about? Well, it's because the angular velocity uses how much distance is something covering, or how much angle is something covering in a given time. So if you talk about a merry-go-round that's going around, say it's going around once a day, that all the horses on that merry-go-round complete one complete circle in that day. And so they have the same angular velocity. But then there's linear velocity, which is where it gets interesting, because, of course, if you're on the equator, you are moving 1,000 miles per hour. You are having to travel 24,901 miles in one day, and therefore you're going 1,000 miles per hour. And everything would just fly off the earth. Without a question, there's no doubt in my mind. And so I started reading about this, Dave, and get this. They actually say that when something is spinning in a circle, that it's its direction of acceleration is towards the center of the circle. So I'm reading this over and over again. I'm like, what? That doesn't make any sense. How could it be towards the center? Because everything flies off. So I'm looking for examples of this on Google, and I was looking on YouTube for examples of them proving to me that when something is spinning in a circle, its acceleration is towards the middle. Get this. This is the actual experiment that they show on this one website that is, I think it's like phys ed or something for students or something. They put basically on picture a spinning disc that's on some sort of spinning apparatus, and then you put like a glass of, say it's a jar of water on each of these ends, and then inside of it they put a little cork suspended by, say, a string. So this cork is hanging freely in this water, and then they start spinning the disc. And when the corks go towards the middle, that is their evidence that it accelerate towards the middle. I was baffled. I said, are you kidding me? The reason that the corks go towards the middle is because the water is sloshing towards the outside. How could you say that the acceleration is towards the middle? It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen, and it's just more evidence that this is what science does, is it confuses the hell out of people. And if people don't really realize what I'm talking about, they then take a guy and he's holding a glass of water, or it's like a bottle of water, and in it he has a cork, and he starts spinning in a circle, and the cork goes towards him. Well, of course it does, because the water, which is more dense, which is pushing towards the outside of the apparatus. So I was like telling Bob the other day, I was talking to Bob about it, and I was like, Bob, what if they remove the water, or remove the walls of the water on that apparatus that's spinning? All the water would fly off. And Bob's like, absolutely. And he said, and if that cork was in there with no water, the corks would go towards the outside. But that's actually their evidence. And they even say, like, if you take a lighter, or a candle, and you spin that in a circle, that the flame will go towards the middle. Well, of course it will, because the gases of the flame are less dense than the air, and the air is being flung out. Does that make any sense what I'm saying? Yeah, absolutely insane. So I'm going to do a video on that because, what a nightmare.
When Globers, they come up with, the Earth is spinning, you wouldn't feel it. Look at a clock, you don't see that going. The hand on a clock, you don't see it moving. Now slow it down because it's going around twice the speed that you're going, which we've talked about this 100 times. But when you're out that far, you're going 1,000 miles per hour, which is almost 1.5 times the speed of sound.
Right.
Which doesn't make any sense. And then think, 1,000 miles per hour. So in 1 hour, you've traveled 1,000 miles, and 1,000 miles on the curve of the Earth, that's 125 miles of curvature.
Right.
So in 1 hour, you've curved downward 125 miles, and you've gone 1,000 miles.
It's ridiculous.
Don't tell me you're not going to feel that.
No, and I even took a video as Miss and I were driving, and I said, stay at 50 miles per hour. Get going 50. Tell me when you're at 50, and I want to film. So I filmed that, and then I put it in my editor and multiplied it by 20. And when you see how fast 1,000 miles per hour is, and then you picture, okay, well, let's picture now that we're on a merry-go-round that is going that fast at the outer edge, everything on it would fly off. And so this is why I was at a quandary. I said, how can they say that the acceleration is towards the center? Well, they have to say that. They have to say that, otherwise people would be onto the trick that everything on the Earth would fly off. You cannot spin something 1,000 miles per hour. And again, it makes sense why every time I've talked to a Glober about this, they're like, yeah, but the angular speed is the same. I'm like, yeah, what you're saying is if we had a merry-go-round, let's just say it's 25,000 miles in circumference, you're saying that every horse on that merry-go-round is going the same speed. Yeah, if they're going the same angular velocity, great. But that means no matter how big our merry-go-round got, if it was 1 trillion miles in circumference, you're saying that all the horses on the entire merry-go-round would all be going the same angular velocity. It's just ridiculous. When you get into linear velocity, then you realize everything would fly off. So anyway, that's that video that's coming out soon. So we do have a break coming up. We do have a couple callers lined up if you want to get in line, 213-233-3998. I watched a video earlier today. Do you ever watch I was going to say Clint Eastwood. What is his name? I can't remember his name now. He had Ole Demigard on. How do you say that guy's name, by the way? David.
Oh, I was muted. Ole Demigard.
Ole Demigard. Yeah, so no, I just watched a great video today where they went through, I'm sure you've seen it, they have a huge list of all the things that would take place at a false flag, and they were able to go up and match a lot of these with the New Zealand shooting. But I thought that was a great video, so people should check that out. And Ole
There's a
does
whole page on New Zealand coming up on Stop, Look, Think. It should be up by tomorrow if it's not up tonight.
Beautiful. Don't go anywhere, guys. So we'll be right back to take your calls and more. You're listening to Jeranism Monday Night Raw.
Censorship and regulation is becoming an ever-growing problem in today's modern media, buried by official narratives and propaganda. This is why TFR is 100% uncensored, unregulated, and listener-supported. The shows on TFR are not micromanaged by the station, and our hosts are free to speak their minds however they please. As such, the views and opinions expressed on our station are of those who make them. If you happen to hear anything offensive on TFR, please send us an email to toughtitty@tfrlive.com, and we'll be happy to tell you that we really don't give a damn. We stand for freedom of speech and non-censorship. If you also stand for free speech, you can go to tfrlive.com/signup and sign up for a TFR supporter pass and help us in our mission to keep the airwaves uncensored and unregulated. TFR Live, your uncensored and unregulated protection from deception.
The Russia probe, border issue. I'm Ann Cates. House Democrats want to see the results of the Russia investigation in its entirety.
The House Judiciary Committee is planning to vote on Wednesday on authorizing a subpoena for the report as well as for the underlying evidence. Chairman Gerald Nadler said Congress wants to see the full report without redactions. Attorney General William Barr has told Congress he plans to have a public version of the report ready to send to Congress by mid-April or sooner, but that's after the Tuesday deadline that was previously set by Congress. Republicans are criticizing Nadler's move, arguing the law does not allow the Justice Department to share everything in Mueller's report. Linda Kenyon, Washington.
The House Oversight Committee, meanwhile, wants the White House to explain why more than 24 Trump administration officials were given security clearances after their applications were denied. President Trump is still vowing to close the border with Mexico. Correspondent Pamela Brown.
Right now, officials are saying it is anyone's guess about these border closures. Yes, the president has made these threats in the past of closing parts of the border with Mexico and hasn't followed through. But I spoke to one administration official who said this time feels more real than the past times because of just the amount of attention the president has devoted to this in the past few days.
Another woman has come forward to say former Vice President Joe Biden touched her inappropriately, rubbing noses with her at a 2009 fundraiser in Connecticut. Correspondent Arlette Sinez.
The Hartford Courant says Amy Lapos posted about the alleged incident on Facebook yesterday, responding to an account about Joe Biden's first accuser, Lucy Flores. Now, Biden's team didn't have a direct response to this latest allegation, but pointed to his statement yesterday when Biden said he didn't believe he acted inappropriately in his public interactions, but is ready to listen to women's experiences.
On Wall Street, the Dow Jones Industrial Average gained 330 points. The S&P closed up 33. The Nasdaq up 100. I'm Ann Cates.
This is Truth Frequency Radio.
The wicked ones obviously under heavy Masonic influence.
All right, welcome back. You're on with, what is that background noise? I don't know. Anyway, you're listening to Jeranism Monday Night Raw. We are here for the second hour. I'm with Dave, And as always, I always tell people, do your own research on everything. Don't believe anything that we say. We're just freely speaking our mind. I love that commercial, Dave, we just heard from Chris Gio, owner of TFR. And like I said before, I like people who are honest and who are good people. Chris is definitely one of those. And when Chris says the shows on this radio broadcast or on this radio station are not micromanaged or restricted, and hosts are free to speak their minds, he's being 100% honest. I've been doing a show here for 3 years, and I've never once had Chris tell me anything about anything I've said on this radio station. And that obviously goes for everyone on TFR. I don't think that he's micromanaging any show, obviously. So I ask people to please support this station. This kind of freedom of speech is so important. It's what's going away. And, Dave said earlier, support what you like or it will go away. And I'm certainly not saying even, come and support me.
Support what you like or what you like goes away.
Right. And even support if you don't, if you want to go sign up under Mark Sargent's channel or under Crow 777. Doesn't matter to me. I just want this radio station to be supported because it is listener funded. And, if you're driving to work and listening to the radio, everything that you're hearing from these news stations and everything else is all scripted. It's not what anybody actually truly believes. And that's the difference about this radio broadcast and about this radio station, True Frequency Radio. That's why I love that it's called Truth Frequency Radio. I remember one time somebody getting really upset at Chris and saying, hey, how come you call it True Frequency Radio when you've got people like Jeran saying the earth is flat and people like Zachary Hubbard saying that it's a globe? How could it be True Frequency Radio? And his response, Chris's response, was perfect. He said, both those guys are telling you what they honestly believe. So he's saying, I can't provide a better platform for free speech than that. And I totally agree. I can't imagine listening to anything else driving around.
I just got an anonymous message about support, and I'm going to read it, but I'm not going to tell you who sent it. It said, don't sign up for Mark Sargent guy, major tool.
Well, if that was Mark, okay. Yeah, you're not going to tell me who it was, though. Okay. Anyway, yeah.
All right, it was Mark.
Okay. Well, support this radio station because this is what this is what I'm talking about. These things are going away, and we got to make sure that they don't because it's not going to last very long on YouTube. Channels being attacked like mine. Like I mentioned, the privacy complaint today. I got one last week about a video I did about Nathan Oakley where I had him and Wiggles up and somebody and who is it doing this thing tried to issue a privacy complaint as if they were Nathan Oakley. And, I had to contact Nathan and say, Nathan, is this you? He's like, no, I would never do that. I'm like, all right, well, somebody is out there. This is the kind of time people have on their hands to attack channels. That's why I can't bank on my YouTube channel being here tomorrow. It's going to be gone at some point. And that's why stations like this, I got to get behind 110%. Also, if you heard in that ad, can you believe, Dave, that Joe Biden has been accused of improper public behavior?
Creepy Joe Biden?
Yeah, can you believe it? I can't imagine that a girl has come forward and said that he got too close and kissed her on the forehead and said things in her ear. I can't imagine him doing that.
Do you think that's just staged just to distract? Because if they wanted to keep they know he's a creep. They know they're all creeps. They wouldn't cover it. The mainstream media wouldn't cover it. If the mainstream media is covering it, they want us to know.
I know you say that a lot, and I disagree with that because if I went and accused somebody of something like that, and it was proven that I was with Joe Biden on that date, and I went and released that, I think a newspaper would cover it, and the media would pick it up. I don't think that there's a way that they can ignore complaints like that anymore.
Okay.
Now the problem is that creepy Joe Biden has done this to several children, and the problem with that is that the parents are all drunk with power. They're just happy to be near him. They're just happy to be part of the Washington, D.C. elite. So they don't care that their children are a little bit uncomfortable. They're not going to go make a big deal about it. They're not going to report it to the media. People have had to show these videos. But now the problem is when you have an adult woman who's able to make her own decisions, it's the same thing with the girl that came forward about Neil deGrasse Tyson. I tend to think those are real. I could be wrong. Again, Dave and I have a lot of differing opinions on a lot of things. But it's the basis behind it that is still true. They can still report this, and I still think that if he comes out and says he's going to be running for president, which he's all but done, that everybody in the Democratic Party will get behind him. So, that just goes to show you that they'll just chalk it up as being, no, he didn't know he was being inappropriate. He didn't think what he was doing is inappropriate, even though you can go watch all the videos. Just look up creepy Uncle Joe Biden and watch all the videos of all the ways that he grabs children and pulls them close and whispers in their ears and how taken aback they are and how their parents just stand there and deal with it. It's pretty sad. So anyway, I wanted to get that out there. But anyway, let's move on. Let's take some calls. Again, if you want to get in line, 213-233-3998. Let's go to the first caller. You're on with Jeranism Monday Night Raw. Who's this? Where are you from? 503 area code, by the way. Sorry. If you're in the 503. I just heard you. You're on the air. 503 area code, going once, going twice. All right, we'll go on to the next call. I believe we are going to the 905 area code. Any guesses who it might be, Dave?
The guy that might have just lost his channel because his stream went down 20 minutes ago.
Uh-oh. I feel
Did we get your channel taken down?
I feel bad, but I also warned you. What happened?
Yeah, no, we're back. But
Okay,
it was nuts, man.
What happened?
So I had to download Chrome. And that's the only way I can stream live now.
Interesting. Okay. Well, at least your channel wasn't taken down. I was a little bit nervous.
So, yeah, me too.
So just so this is so this is publicly said, I love that you do the simulcast, and I don't mind it, especially because you abide by the TFR rules. You're pulling it at the end of the week. But again, I will warn you that I'm no longer going to be restricting myself at all about what I say on Jeranism Monday Night Raw. So be a little bit careful if you if you enjoy all those subscribers that you've gotten recently, and I know you do some other stuff on your channel, putting up music nights and things like that. Just be very careful because you never know when the YouTube thought police are going to penalize you for things that I might say, and I don't want that to happen to you.
Oh, that's cool, Jeran. No worries. And the other thing was it went automatically private instead of being public. So
interesting.
It's so weird. Can you repeat Dave's wrestler intro for the night, if you recall?
I don't remember what I said. He said he was the high-flying Jew from New Jersey. Yeah,
New Jersey, yeah. That was gold, man.
I tried to piss him off and make him think that I what do you think? Do you watch wrestling at all anymore? Or no.
Oh, not at all. No.
No. Okay. Not at
all.
Yeah, Jeran, he grew up.
I just also got to say.
All right, Dave. That's fighting words.
If you got your soundboard, Jeran, you still have your soundboard?
I do.
Like the little. So from Glowbusters, come on, Dave. Just get a bunch of those for when Baller Dave shows up.
All right, we'll do that.
That was so funny yesterday.
I thought that was funny too. After about half the show, I was like, should I tell Bob to stop saying that? But it was funny to me, and I was just like, man, if it was me though, if I was watching somebody's show and they kept saying right Jeran and you can't do and right Jeran, I'd be like, okay, that would piss me off. But at the same time, I understood why Bob was doing it. So what are you gonna do? So any other comments or questions or complaints or anything?
Love you guys. I'm going to keep doing it as long as I can. And sorry things went to crap tonight, but as long as
you don't need to apologize. Nope, no need to apologize. Thank you so much for calling in. Yeah, you don't have to apologize. Like I said, this show is free for anybody who wants to check it out. So if it's not working out on his YouTube channel, again, just go to tfrlive.com, click Listen Live on Mondays between 6 and 8. Pacific, 9 to 11 Eastern, and you will get the show. Let's go back one more time to the 503 just to see if we're going to get this call from, looks like Portland, Oregon. Do you hear me this time? This is your final chance. 503 area code. Goodbye. I can hear you. You're doing dishes or doing something. All right, we gave him a chance. Sorry. Let's go to the next caller in the 803 area code. You're on with Jeranism Monday Night Raw. Who's this? Where are you from?
Hey, actually, I'm from South Carolina, but I'm living in Texas now.
Hey, what's going on? How are you?
Hey, good. My name's Chris. I've been listening to your show for maybe like 3 years or so.
Wow, appreciate it.
And just wanted to say, yeah. Me?
Say it again.
I think I had a connection problem. Sorry. Yeah, I just wanted to say shout out to you for being one of the main people that's helped me and a few other people wake up to Flat Earth. Just, helping us ask the right questions, do our own experiments.
Good, yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, and, yeah, what are you going to say?
No, go ahead.
Oh, I wanted to bring up a few things like I thought of recently. I saw the ISS footage, maybe, I don't know if it was a week ago or so, and there were no stars, and they were showing the fisheye lens, and people started getting banned from the chat.
Oh yeah, that happens all the time.
But it seemed like over half of the people. Yeah, I think over half of the people in there were trolling NASA, though. So I think there's more of us being born every day.
Good. I've noticed that as well. Yeah, if you go into the and you can just look up Ustream on Google, Ustream ISS. There's 2 feeds that NASA provides. One's called an HD feed, and yeah, they have little chats in there. And every time you go in there, you can see people questioning, "What is this horse shit? Why does it keep turning off? Why is it a blue stream? Why can't I see the Earth from up here if I can see the ISS from the ground?" Just imagine that. You can go out at night and supposedly see the ISS cross right over you. It's the brightest thing in the sky. Yet when they show video of the Earth, you can't see a thing. I'm talking about entire football stadiums full of lights, entire cities. You don't see any of that. It's ridiculous.
That's true. It is ridiculous. It's a scam. And I mean, they want us to think there's thousands of satellites floating around, and they can't show any of that. They can't show anything. I realized, like you were saying earlier. I'm sorry.
No, sorry, there's a delay. I was just going to say, yeah, you're absolutely right. Even when they do show the satellites being deployed or anything like that, it looks like 80s technology, CGI, or not CGI, but it's just basically models done in a black box, just like they did 2001 Space Odyssey. But sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead. There's just a delay, so sometimes I step over callers.
No, it's fine. I understand. And you're right. It's actually worse than modern CGI. Like you said, it's primitive. And they're still trying to play that kind of crap, and they think people just believe it because we've been trained in our mind's eye to believe things as children. And we don't really look at things with our senses.
No, not at all. Not when you got Neil deGrasse Tyson saying that your senses don't matter. The universe doesn't need to make sense to you. That's all that they want to perpetrate, right? If you're perpetrating a whole universal hoax, and you want people to believe in planets and all these things in the sky and everything, well, then, of course, you have to tell people that your senses don't make a difference and the universe is under no obligation to make sense to you, because that's how they perpetrate the hoax, because it doesn't make sense. It just simply doesn't.
All the huge number complexes they create. I mean, and all the fallacies, like you said, with the merry-go-round and why things don't fly outwards when we see that every time. I mean, think even the Big Bang should have exploded in equal distribution in all directions, but somehow they say, oh, it kind of went out like a pancake.
Yeah, no, it's definitely nonsense.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, to think that they can rewind, they say they rewind the laws of physics to get back to the 1/1000th of a second after the Big Bang. Such nonsense. It's all, I mean, if the Big Bang happened and gravity was there, then immediately everything would be grabbed and collected to one piece of mass. And I've talked about it before. Yeah.
Right.
That Neptune has the highest winds in the solar system. This is a fact.
It's a fact. Yeah, I forgot about those facts. And yeah, it's just crazy. I mean, I still have not been explained how you have Jupiter and you have Saturn that are gas planets. Why did they only collect gas?
Because they're spinning faster.
Oh, so spinning faster equals gas collection. Spinning slower equals rocks.
Things will get pulled to the center more, and the gases will turn to rocks and minerals.
Oh, man. And yeah, when you get back to the whole idea of this merry-go-round going around, it's so funny because you have to believe that with this spinning merry-go-round going 1,000 miles per hour at the outer edge, that imagine that the entire air, the atmosphere, is moving with the merry-go-round. I mean, it's just such nonsense. And why is it all there? It's all there because we don't feel any movement. There is no movement. There is no registered movement. There is no calculated movement. The reason why is because there is no movement. So they have to make up all these other things that explain that movement. Though this is why you don't feel it, because the atmosphere is moving with it. I mean, all you need to do is just think about that wherever you are, draw like a column above your head and picture all that atmosphere above you, all of it, all the way up to what you might want to call space, is all moving lockstep with the moving Earth. I mean, where does that end? If you sent up a balloon, at what point does it get out of the atmosphere that's moving with it? It should not very high. It should get out of that, and the Earth should go racing by because it's no longer being carried around with the atmosphere. But again, people want to believe this stuff because they've been told it, and they don't want to face the facts that what you've been told might be a lie. It's just so sad because all these globe believers, I mean, all believe that 9/11 was as we were told. They want to believe that Building 7 fell, at free fall speed for no reason. They want to believe that Larry Silverstein, who, got the insurance on both the buildings, that he just happened to not be there that morning, even though he had been at a meeting at the top of the towers for every day for the previous, who knows how many years, and he just doesn't show up that day. Right. Not just him, but his son and his daughter, who were there every day with him. Both were. One of them was late for work, and the other one was dropping off their kids at school late. And they both, all of three of them, didn't happen to be in the building when they were there every other day for as long back as they've been, involved in those trade centers. It's just crazy. I mean, there's so many things that the plane hitting the Pentagon. What a freaking joke! There's so many pictures. In fact, I have a book that I've been reading called "What We Saw." I don't know if people have seen it. It's a CBS book. I don't know if Tom Brokaw wrote part of it or whatever, but it just shows a bunch of images, and they have the funniest images of the Pentagon, where there's this little tiny hole in it, and there's no plane. It's like, how did a plane get through there? It's just, it's so crazy. I don't even know what to say anymore.
I actually had an agent try to tell me and my friends when we were talking about 9/11 truth several years, way back when that was a thing, and he tried to tell us, "Oh, there's no cameras at the Pentagon," and we laughed at him. And I'm like, "Come on, this guy's retarded."
Somebody's done a study on that.
Just to go back to that point you said.
Yeah.
Oh, I just wanted to say what you were getting at with the atmosphere extending so far. I heard that they recently tried to say the atmosphere goes to the moon. They were trying to get rid of the Van Allen radiation belt problem.
Right, beyond the moon.
Yeah, I mean, wouldn't the moon come to us, or wouldn't the satellites be inside that range where they would be affected by, gravity and fall down? I mean, none of that makes sense. Every time they try to make a patch on their theory, it's still weak. There's still another question.
That's what happens when you tell lies. You can only do so much to patch up lies, and they can try as hard as they want, but a lie is a lie. You didn't go to the moon. It's as simple as that. There's no pictures of the Earth. There never has been. It's pretty obvious to me that you can't get away from the surface far enough to do so. So appreciate the call. Thank you so much. Let's go to the next caller in the 303 area code. I believe this is the star of the Flat Earth Behind the Curve documentary. Perhaps.
Really? Seriously gonna do? Okay, fine. No autographs, you vultures. Get away.
No, I still go back in my mind.
Agent.
I still go back in my mind.
At least
Mark,
you didn't prove the Earth was curved.
That's it. Those are fighting words. Jesus, am I ever gonna live that down? Oh man, I still remember the first time I called you, Mark, and you called me back, and I was like talking to you, and then putting my phone on mute and telling Missa, "This is Mark Sargent. This is Mark." And I'd put it off mute and be like, "What? Oh yeah, I know. I totally agree with that." And then put it on mute. Listen, he's talking to me. Anyway, that's how starstruck I was. But I won't ask for your autograph. I've never been an autograph fan, so.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
Good Lord.
What's up,
I know.
Mark?
And here we are on April 1st, April Fool's Day, and I know I didn't listen to the first 30 minutes of the show. I'm sorry. But I'm sure you guys have covered some of the April Fool's stories, but I didn't know if you got all of them today.
Go ahead. Teach us, because the only one I did cover a little bit is the unfortunate event of a flat earther breaking into Logan Paul's house.
Oh, wasn't that good? I thought that was an awesome story.
Jesus. Man,
of course, fake. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah,
and Mark, I do have to admit, I haven't talked to you since then, but I feel like you were very vindicated when this Flat Earth To the Edge and Back documentary came out, because the whole time when you left, I was disagreeing with your decision to do that, but I was like, I have to respect each person's personal actions. I mean, if you really felt like you needed to leave, you needed to leave, and I said, I just hope that this documentary doesn't come out and it's a good one. And then Mark kind of looks. But you got vindicated, man. You had every right to leave, and I probably should have listened to you.
Jeran, you're not seeing the big picture here, are you?
The Logan
Logan
effect?
and Mark are in this together. Mark is a Disney kid.
Oh boy, Mark!
Damn you, white!
What Disney shows have you done?
Just the Mickey Mouse Club.
Well, Logan and I did an after-school special together where we were both experimenting with homosexuality.
Oh,
and it never aired.
No, but it was produced by Ralph Reel, right?
Well, Ralph and Joe, the Reel brothers, actually. They actually wasn't a father and son team. It was a brothers team, like the Wachowskis. And you saw how well that turned out.
Very funny, very funny.
No. It's okay. And by the way, me leaving was more of an insurance policy than anything else. Because had everyone embraced him, then he could actually go and say that, yeah, he trolled everybody. But in this case, and I was, when he did that behind the scenes
thing, he trolled everybody except Mark Sargent.
Except Mark, because Mark had seen him before.
No.
Well, you had heard of him. You had followed his work, right? Or you had seen him, right? So yeah, that's the difference. Dave and I had never heard of the guy.
I mean, he and I had barely spoken since the Disney project, but no, I had followed him because of the Jake connection. I was curious about the whole his younger brother, and then I found out about him. I was like, oh, good Lord, these two should be smothered with pillowcases and die. Anyway, so sorry, let's get back to the thing real quick. Okay. Sorry, did I say smothered with pillowcases? I mean murdered. The April Fool's things. There were three things that came out today. One I thought was really, really interesting, and that was the Globe company that the solar powered globes that decided for April Fools they were going to do the flat Earth version of their globes. So it's MOVA globes, and this young kid went in kind of like Steve Jobs and did the flat Earth MOVA globe thing. You got to watch that if you get a chance. But there were two other headlines which weren't on YouTube. One was, and Jeran will know this one because you're into music. You remember Daft Punk?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Daft Punk story out of DJ Magazine. Daft Punk removes Around the World from back catalog after becoming flat earthers.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Yeah, that was actually and they played it absolutely seriously. In fact, they supposedly made a secret live return at the 2018 Flat Earth Conference in November, the one we did. And, of course, that's a funny joke, a secret live return. So they weren't actually there.
Right.
And then the other one was a little more highbrow, and that was from the New Yorker magazine. And the title is literally called It's a Flat Earth by Gary Richardson. And the opening sentence, I recently watched Behind the Curve, a new Netflix documentary about the community of people believe the Earth is flatter than spherical, with the exception that I'd sit back and have a laugh at the expense of flat earthers, but I was wrong. I was totally swayed. And then he gets into it, and of course the rest of the article is a joke where he says that Bill Nye stole his girlfriend because he's such a suave guy that yeah, I know. So.
The other thing, Missa came and I wish I would have. She recorded on her phone, and I didn't have a chance to have it ready. But she came to me today, and she's like, "Oh my goodness," because she watches Price is Right, right? You've heard that show, Price is Right, of course. Yeah. So the showcase today. So they had a showcase, and they announced to the first person, and the first item that they're giving away is a trip around the globe. And they said this 63-hour flight will take off from Los Angeles and will travel all the way around the globe, and you'll land again in Los Angeles 63 hours later, blah, 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 blah. And then they ask him to bid on it, and the guy's like, I don't think that's real.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But aren't they going east or west?
What? Yeah, and I don't know if that was scripted or something for the guy to say he didn't think it was real, because actually the first person that is supposed to bid passed it to the second person. But they even show like a drawing. They show a globe turning, and then they show like the path that the plane would take, and they're like, it'll take 63 hours. And as Miss is showing me, I'm at first thinking, I'm like, what? That's completely fake. They can't. There's no plane that can last 63 hours. And then she's like, no, keep watching. And then you keep watching, and the guy says, no, all those items are fake. But it's pretty funny because you can't really tell if he's talking about the globe or it's just funny because like all those items are fake.
Wow.
So I'll send you the clips when she gets home. Yeah, because she's out.
That's awesome because one, the only reason they put that prize out there was because of us, and two, the guy's reaction. That's priceless. That's awesome.
Yeah, and it of course it could just end up like the Around the Poles flight that was supposed to happen right in October, and of course that got found out to be a total hoax. And I think a lot of
people lose their money on that.
I think so, and unless they got it back somehow. Yeah, but I think that a lot of people had paid down payments.
I think Creator Sapien, I think, would have probably made a video saying that he got the money back if he actually got it back, and he didn't. The thing was, it looked so professional though.
It did really look professional.
Absolutely flawless.
And one of the weird things
the question
that
is, was it professional and was it cold? Anyway, go ahead.
I don't know. Well, they had a bunch of people that it listed. It would say, oh, and it'll be with this wine guru will be joining us on the flight, and then it has a link to his website. And I remember going there and emailing that person and asking him, hey, are you really doing this flight? I never got an email back. But so I don't know if it was all faked or if he was told that he would be taking the flight for free, and I don't know. Mark, do you want to hang on through the break?
I think it was real, and I think it was real, and I think it was pulled.
Do you want to hold on through the break? Hold right there. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Jeran.
Oh, yeah, sure. I'll hold on. Sure.
The reviews for Extendivite are amazing. Here are some from Amazon. By Christine, great for heart palpitations. By Anne, before I started using this product, every afternoon my ankles and my hands would be swollen. That doesn't happen anymore. So if that part of their advertising is true, I have to assume that the rest of it is also. Not to mention that when I had my yearly blood test, only a few weeks after beginning to use this product, my cholesterol had dropped over 30 points. I'm going to continue to take it. By Croc, I love this product. It really works. By Brad, works great, thank you. Tell us your story. Get your Extendivite today. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Hey folks, guess what the #1 phrase that Life Change Tea receives by email? You ready? We love this tea! We love this tea! Time after time, week after week, we love this tea! Life Change Tea gives you more energy, a beautiful cleansing, and fulfills its slogan perfectly. The tea that makes you go. So if you want to be on your health game, log on to getthetea.com and order Life Change Super Strength Tea. Packages come in a 1-month supply, and when you brew this stuff, wait until you see the results. Aren't we all about the results? And with a lot of people's health struggling, we can use a little bit of help. Doctors will tell you disease starts in the gut. So log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Be our next email saying, I love this tea. I love this tea. Get the tea at getthetea.com. Helping America one tea bag at a time.
Greetings, Earth Explorers. My name is Brooks Agnew, and I am your host on X Squared Radio every Sunday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on the Truth Frequency Radio Network. This is where the past meets the future. We explore the mysteries of the universe and of the Earth. We might go a little past your imagination, but have no fear. You will be safely traveling with us. We will dissolve the propaganda of dangerous people with dangerous plans for the planet. We will discuss the latest technologies and challenges for humankind. We will discover the safest place for you to stand when the thinkings and doings of mankind come flying apart, and how you can be one of the people that helps put it back together. Join us.
This is Truth Frequency Radio.
No hate, no hype, no fear. Real people, real radio.
Welcome back. You are listening to Jeranism Monday Night Raw. Appreciate you guys joining us. We do always appreciate it. We are taking calls as we normally do during the second half of the show. So if you want to get in line, you can do so by dialing 213-233-3998, but you'll have to get in line behind the current caller, who is better known as Mark Sargent. Mark, are you still there?
You know, I didn't really have to stay through the break. I don't know what else you guys wanted me to do, but
no, I see. That's the extent of the April Fool's Day jokes, I guess, huh? The ones you told us are.
Oh yeah. But I got to clarify that the one that I loved the most was, and you guys will appreciate it, is that the Globe Company using Flat Earth to sell globes, literally. That's their hook, which is, oh yeah, this flat, and so they put this Flat Earth model out there, and it looked like one of Chris Pontius's little things without the dome, but then at the end it's like, oh no, we're not actually selling this, we're only selling globes. It's like, really? So you're using us as the hook, and then you're going to try to sell globes after the fact. Good luck with that. So.
Yeah, good luck to them. Here, I'll try and play. I just told Mrs. send me that video from today, so I'll try and play it for everyone to hear. Let me turn up my phone here. This is the Showcase Showdown from today.
Can you imagine owning a Globe company right now?
No, but I've actually thought before. Don't you think it'd be a good idea to tell everybody, hey, everybody buy globes and then send me video of you destroying them, and then I'll put together a mashup? Wouldn't that be cool? I thought it'd be a cool video.
That would be good.
Here's the Showcase Showdown from today's show.
Of your life on your trip around the world. You and a guest will fly non-stop coach around the world. That's right, non-stop around the world from Los Angeles to beautiful Los Angeles for a 67-hour magical flight. You'll see the 7 wonders of the world, all from the comfort of your airline seat. Marvel at Earth's treasures from 35,000 feet without ever getting up or stopping. So it's new mind-reading technology.
Okay, hold on. I got to send it in 2 different videos, so now we'll do this one.
Okay. That first part's brilliant.
Mind-reading technology, a micromodulator, and meal pods for a whole year, and a non-stop trip around the world. It can all be yours if the price is right. Dawn, you want to bid on that or pass it on to Steven?
I'm giving it to you, Steven.
Steven, what do you bid? None of these things are real. Right, April Fool's, Steven.
None of these things are...
Oh, I got... So it was an actual April Fool's joke.
Yes. There's no flight
You're
around.
bidding on something that didn't exist.
Correct. And I don't know if that guy's line was scripted or not, because the first girl said, no, I'll pass. And then the guy gets up and says, none of those things are real. And then he said, congratulations.
No, that's perfect. I mean, one, only military aircraft can stay in the air that long because they have refueling planes.
Right.
And 2, what a horrible flight. I mean, people complain about 5-7-hour flights.
Yeah, it'd be miserable.
Lewis Black had a great line about flying to Australia. He said that he goes, if you're flying business class, if you're flying first class, that's the way to go. But even then, that's like you're pressing your hands against your head as hard as you can for 20 hours. And he goes, and if you're flying coach, you might as well just kill yourself. And seriously, and compare that to like a 60-hour flight. How is that even remotely pleasant? That'd be a form of torture for a lot of people. So anyway, it's interesting.
I definitely agree. So what do you got going for your show tomorrow?
Yeah. Tomorrow, just kind of talking about the April Fool's stuff and all the headlines and a little bit of Trollgan Paul and the usual.
Oh,
no guests.
Trollgan Paul. Oh man, that's brilliant. Trollgan Paul.
Well, you haven't heard that one yet?
No, I have not heard that one. No,
I only said it 3 times.
Oh yeah.
When did you say it? I'm gonna call a lie on that one.
Go back and listen.
On this show?
This time I said it 3 times.
On tonight.
Yeah, I heard him.
Oh man, that shows you
I thought you initially said I thought you initially said Trojan Paul, which would be like kind of like a Trojan horse thing. Oh, did you? Oh.
Yeah, what did you say?
Something in the chat. Trollgan. Trollgan.
Oh, I said Trojan.
Okay, no. Okay, I was gonna say you didn't say Trollgan.
Both of them work.
Trollgan's better.
Trollgan Paul came from somebody in the chat room, the internet hive mind, super, super clever. And it's true. I mean, I love the fact. Sorry, that I'll end on this, and you guys can go do whatever you want. Which is he left the hotel, which I loved in his behind the scenes thing, because he felt the mood change after that podcast I did with Zulu and Brian Burton, which was that he thought and of course I think it was a little bit paranoid on his part, but sure, if he's looking around and because I'm sure he was really nervous the entire time anyway, it's like, okay, can I get away with this without being found out? And I think at that point it's like, crap, the jig's up. So hey, good.
Yeah, no, you have a very intelligent peanut gallery on your show, so I do enjoy checking that out. But everybody, check out Mark's show. Just tell everybody what time that is tomorrow and where they can find your stuff.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Tomorrow at 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern. It's called Strange World. We have lots of fun, and I usually take a bunch of callers from minute one. And if I can, just to see what the temperature of the water is out there in Flat Earth. So lots of fun. Anyway, thanks guys.
Check it out. All right, thanks.
Mark.
See ya. Dave, did you you did not say Trojan Paul for the record.
I said Trojan Paul.
Yeah, that's totally different.
Yeah, I guess.
Trojan Paul is better. Did somebody just send me something? Oh no.
Bob says Joe Rogan Paul.
That's pretty good too.
Not
bad. I like some of these. Not bad.
Not bad.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Did you? I know you said you didn't watch my complete video. Did you know I put that clip of Logan Paul at the end of my video?
I did not. I will watch it after the show.
Just to see that clip. This is how much
the whole thing.
This is how much I pay attention to my own videos too. It wasn't until I posted it on YouTube till I noticed that both Missa and I are in the background of that video. Did you ever notice that?
I will notice it now.
Yeah, I didn't notice it before. That's the only other two people you can see in that video. There's Logan Paul, and he looks so nervous. He really does. And I don't know.
Let me stop talking about him. I'm with Paige on this. Just the less I hear his name, the happier I am.
Okay. You're just sad. See, now you know how I feel about Behind the Curve. Just because you clearly had that dumb look on your face.
No, this is totally different.
Oh, no, but you had a dumb look on your face during it. Right, that's true. Well, what's the difference?
It's not like
Behind the Curve
the Earth was curved.
Oh, boy, here we go. Yeah, I proved it's curved. Yep. I'm pretty impressive like that. Yeah. So let's see. We'll go back to the 503 area code. Are you there? Hello, 503 area code? You're on with Jeranism RAW? No. Don't think that person wants to talk. So we do have open lines, 213-233-3998. Again, 213-233-3998. I don't believe there's anybody in line, believe it or not. It might be somebody here with a blocked phone number, but sometimes those are bad calls. We're not going to take that one. So if anybody else wants to call in from a non-blocked line, you can go ahead and do that at 213-233-3998. Dave, what else did you have on your list of notes? Anything?
I have just finished my sun fade out video, and I'm ready to hit the publish button right after the show. So check it out.
You've been working on a video this entire time.
Absolutely.
Okay. I guess you can call that multitasking or something similar. Thanks for that very much. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
So the other thing that, Dave, I don't know if you heard the entirety of Globebusters. I know. Oh, you can tell everybody where you were during Globebusters.
So at the beginning of Globebusters, I went to a local conspiracy meeting, monthly meeting that these people have, and they talk about all sorts of stuff. It's the second time I went. And I will say that these people are more awake than the zombies that surround us.
Well, that's good. It's a good first step.
But you know what? It's actually, let me rephrase that. They know about chemtrails. They know about Sandy Hook, 9/11. They know about most of these false flags. They don't know about New Zealand, but I just think they haven't looked at it yet. So they do know about a lot of stuff, and they were interested in talking flat Earth. The first time I went, I kind of took over and it ended up everyone's asking me questions. I went in there wearing a flat Earth shirt and everything. So
not Caesars for Science.
They did ask me to present at the next meeting or one of the next meetings. So
interesting.
Yeah.
All
so
right, make sure you film that. I would love to see your presentation.
I just don't know. I think I might just go in with my book and take questions.
Hey, maybe that's the best thing. Did you show everybody the app or no?
No, I did not. I tried to. Because I was leaving early. It's like a solid 3.5 hour meeting.
Wow.
And I was leaving, an hour and a half into it. I didn't bring it up, except the guy next to me was asking me a lot of questions. I gave him a book and all sorts of stuff. So it's always good. Flat Earth is burning to get out everywhere. They wanted to talk Flat Earth, but they had another 5G presentation, which was actually quite good, going on.
I would have liked to seen that.
Yeah. There's a new 5G video, which I put on the Flat Earth podcast page, which everyone's got to see. It's probably the best put together video I've seen, and the makers of it are asking you to share it with people in the town governments and everywhere. So check that out. Share it. It is mind blowing if you watch it.
All right, so Dave, when we're talking about the spinning of the Earth, why we don't feel it, everybody always, globe proponents want to put you inside of an airplane, right? They always say, well, how come you don't feel an airplane moving if you're going 500 miles per hour?
You know my answer to that.
What, that it's bullshit?
No, take off the outer shell of the airplane and
right.
Tell me what happens.
Right, which is easy. But I'm also in the John the Morgile camp, and I know he's been saying this forever, and it's certainly true because I used to. And if you ever bring this up to anybody who's a globe believer, they will shut you down by saying, you don't know that the train wasn't going uphill. You don't know that it wasn't going. But clearly, when you're in a moving train, it is much easier to walk from the front of the train to the back of the train than it is from the back of the train to the front. And
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And they can't have that, because if that's true, then all the equipment that we have that can easily measure these kind of changes would clearly know that we're spinning on the Earth in one direction. It should be far easier to walk west than it is to walk east.
Dave has an answer for that.
I want to hear it. Oh, I'm good. I'm ready.
Because on a train is different, because you're, on a train or a plane, you are moving at a different rate as the gravitrons that are pulling you to the center of the Earth. They're spinning in sync with the Earth. So a plane or a truck or a train is going faster or slower, depending on which direction, then those gravitrons are pulling you down, and that's why it's easier to go in one direction.
No, that's so wrong. You don't even come close. That's not normal Baller Dave. Baller Dave usually has some sort of
good,
decent answer. That was terrible. Wait, so you're...
I actually believe that answer.
But the plane that's being carried by the spinning Earth is also being carried backwards at times.
No, you're going faster. So, you know what? It doesn't make any sense. I'm just trying to come up with something.
I was going to say, where the hell is he going with this one? We do have a couple more callers. Let's try and get to those. Thank you guys for calling from non-blocked lines. From the 717 area code, who's this? Where are you from?
Hey, John from Pennsylvania.
What's up, John?
And appreciate y'all. Appreciate what y'all doing. And had a question, though. Have either one of you done any videos on Galileo?
No, but I should, because I've done so much research on it, and I think that the Galileo is Wrong is one of the best books I've read by Robertson Jenis, so definitely check that out. But what in particular, the fact that he was never really jailed? They tell people this whole story about he was jailed. He was basically put on house arrest after he was blind in a castle. It's like, where's he going to go anywhere? He's blind. But what exactly are you getting at? The fact that they tell us that he dropped balls from the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Again, that's all in school. By the time you actually do a little bit of research, you find out that's completely fake. But what are you getting at?
No, just saw a YouTube video today on a machine site, and they brought up Galileo and the geocentric and how he brought up the heliocentric, but they were showing that using the telescope, how he had proved like the phases of other planets in his book he wrote, and how that proved that the Earth was not in the center, the sun was. And I was like, I never really remembered that from, grade school or middle school. And one of those things I was just like,
Because the story is...
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say the story is that Copernicus came out with his book, and then it was, basically accepted, which isn't true at all. There was no proof in Copernicus's book, and a lot of people just disregarded it. And it wasn't until Galileo came along and said, no, his book does have evidence, and then talked about his telescope that he found or that he invented, or actually, come to find out that was invented by somebody else. These are the kind of lies that happen when you just pay attention to what you're taught and not actually go do your own research. It was actually invented before Galileo. But when he used his telescope, he was able to see the same thing I can see with my camera now, which is little lights that appear next to Jupiter that changed their position. And what that led the world to believe is, he said, if those little lights are going around Jupiter, then the moon must be going around the Earth, and we are the same as Jupiter, and those little lights are just moons. Again, there's no proof of that. He just made that observation. But I can make that observation. It still doesn't mean that we are the same as the thing in the sky that I see with my camera. Doesn't mean anything. I believe the lights in the sky are lights in the sky. Whether they're actual bodies, whether they're energy, whether they're, I don't know what they are, but it doesn't mean that the Earth has to be one of these things that we see in the sky. They love that idea. They run with that idea. That's the whole premise of the cosmological principle and everything. But to me, there's no proof of that. The Earth is everywhere that there's life, and that's what's of prime importance. And everything else in the sky is meant for signs and seasons. And yeah, but it would be a good video to do. So I definitely will think about that one. I'm writing it down as we speak.
No, I appreciate that, and just you and Dave, my wife, appreciate what y'all do, and you guys are becoming a Monday night tradition. But it's just the fun part is when you hear something and you write it down, and you're like, I want to research this, I want to learn more about that, and you guys are the jumping off part for a lot of things we never thought of, and we appreciate you guys being putting a lot of heads up out there and letting us know these things.
Hey, I really appreciate that. Thanks so much for the call. Dave, does that make you feel good? It makes me feel good, because that's all that I want people to do, is to look into this stuff for themselves, because these are things that I was taught that I couldn't look into. There was no reason to. That you're an idiot for thinking that something that you were taught isn't true. And it took a long time to deconstruct all that I was taught and to say, wait a second, there's a lot of things here that seem to be told for ulterior motives.
You always say we tell people to look into these things for themselves. I actually want other people to look into things for me, so I can just sit back and watch their videos.
Yeah,
so I don't have to do it myself.
That's what I've always said. When I get those emails from people that say, answer these 27 questions, it's always like, man, I didn't have anybody I could do that with. That would have saved me a lot of freaking time.
I mean, I
emailed somebody and said that.
I do enjoy, like the video I just put out. That's something that I'm looking into. But watching other people, that taking all the time and putting these videos together. Somebody just mirrored. Sorry, Antarctica is closed by Taboo Conspiracy, because his channel got taken down.
Right.
That video took him, I can't imagine how many hours it took him. It probably took him 1,000 hours to put it together. And so if somebody wants to know about Antarctica, it's put together in a beautiful 35-minute video for you.
Right. And then you can go follow up on those things that he says and see that he's not lying to you.
But he shows all the backup. He's got all the footnotes. He's got everything. He shows all the work.
Right.
It's an amazing presentation. And it's done for you. It would take you a month to figure out half of that stuff.
No, it takes a lot of time. I mean, I look back and all I did for 3 years was research and try and pull together things and then make videos. And it's I like to watch other people's videos too. I'm just careful. I try to be careful about whose videos I watch. But yeah, once you get somebody like Taboo Conspiracy or these guys. Now, wasn't he removed for talking about New Zealand?
Oh yeah. He was doing New Zealand stuff, and I said, "You're going to lose your channel."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Nah, I'm good. I'm not
it's
showing
very
anything."
Dangerous. Yeah, that's the thing. You have to be careful, and this is something I think I've done well, but again, it could change tomorrow. But you just have to be really. There's some words, trigger words, like crisis actor, anything like that, false flag. Saying those words, YouTube isn't going to allow it. They're just going to boot you. So that's why I'm happy to have this show. I'm happy that we're back doing it. Not on YouTube, so that we can talk about some of these things. It's very freeing, and it's great to know that I have a place Monday nights that I can come and mention these things. Because the New Zealand shooting, and everybody, I always say, do your own research, because it shouldn't matter to you what I believe or what Dave believes. It really shouldn't. The fact that we're telling you that it's something you need to look into, that it's something that is very interesting. When you look at Ole Demigard, who's done false flag research for 25 years. It's almost as long as I've been alive. I mean, this guy's been looking into these things, and when he brings out these documents and all these signs of false flags, and sure enough, you can go through and one by one they start checking off this list, and you're just like, man, there's a lot of things that are involved here. And the fact that, if you're in New Zealand, if you have possession of that videotape, and I don't know how many people have seen it or haven't seen it, but if you have possession of it in New Zealand, you can get 14 years in prison. Talk about scaring the public into. And the worst part about it too is when you tell somebody they can't watch something, they all go look for it, and it's just sad. All these little events are divide and conquer, and that's the controller's kind of one-trick pony.
Now they're having their guns removed because of this fake event.
Absolutely, and they were removed right after. It wasn't. Let me bring up a real quick image here so I can look at it.
Yeah, they had that written just like the Patriot Act, ready to go.
Right, ready to go. And I'll just read a couple.
That takes years to put together.
Yeah, years. So at least it's like a 300-page of it takes forever. But these are just a couple things. Somebody put together a list of things that would be true in false flag events, and just think of some of the things that we've seen. The 9/11 event, Sandy Hook, which had cameras, but we've never seen any camera footage of anything supposedly happening at Sandy Hook. The school wasn't even open. But the key video is hidden is one of them. Still pictures, which are often grainy or unclear, are released to support the official story. Absolutely the case here in New Zealand. The perpetrators are identified in record time. How quick did they know this guy's name? They knew everything about him. They, took him out of the car. He's guilty. The other thing is, wasn't there a second shooting? Originally, the story was that it happened at 2 mosques.
They always do that. They have, like in Vegas, they had multiple shootings at other casinos, and it's literally they have like backup plans and side plans just to distract, and it's all nonsense.
New laws or military action take place as a result of the event. Totally true. I mean, that day, the Prime Minister of New Zealand got up and said, we will definitely be changing our gun laws. And, once you disarm people, the society always falls into the rule of tyranny. It's something that is time-tested, that if you unarm your public, they will soon be under a tyrannical rule. That's why we were given the right to bear arms in this country. That's why it's in the Constitution, is because without it, you cannot protect yourself against a tyrannical government. The other one is the event receives an abnormal amount of press coverage. Well, that's obviously the case. The country where the event took place has recently irritated Israel in some way. That's one that's kind of wishy-washy on this particular event. The event and perpetrators are set up to cause conflict between several different religions, ethnic, or sexual orientation groups. Absolutely the case here. And this is what I always tell people is, like, don't go hating other people about this, because that's what they want. They want, and I've talked about this before, if you're the leader of a group of 30 people, the first thing you have to do is you have to create divide between those 30 people. You have to believe this. It's half against half. Also, it's the racial problems within that group, because whatever you do, you just don't want those 30 people looking up at who controls them. You want them all fighting in between each other, and that's exactly what they want in these cases. The friends and family of the victims do interviews that are not believable. Absolutely the case if you've seen some of the interviews with the family. One or more bombs do not detonate. In this case, he had bombs in his car that weren't detonated. Unbelievable hero story is released by the press on day 2. This happened again with a cop story. A manifesto is released by the perpetrator. Again, same thing. We saw this manifesto was all drawn up. It is you got to watch Lift the Veil. Nathan Stoltman, he does a great video about this event. And I think it's still up, talking about New Zealand shooter is a shit posting memer. And he goes through all the things that were said in the manifesto are certain memes that are on the internet, and it's meant to stir up the internet community. It's all by design. Anyway, we could go through all these, but I don't have a lot of time left. So anyway, a bunch of our callers called in. We got 2 minutes. You got 1 minute. 818 area code. Who's this? Where are you from? 818.
Hey guys, it's Jeff from LA.
Jeff, you got 1 minute. What's up?
Jeff from LA. Hey, I'm an Uber driver here in LA, and I took this guy yesterday. This couple. I was taking him to Disneyland, and we passed by the SpaceX headquarters, and you can see that dumbass rocket, outside, and he was like, "Oh, look, honey," he was showing him. They were from Canada, and I was like, "Oh, you work at SpaceX?" And I was acting, I can't really go against, because I don't want them like giving me a bad rating and stuff. It's the rating, or else I would have like gone off. But I was just like acting like I love SpaceX, and I was like, "Oh, what do you do?" And he's like, he does those, those kind of like a sonar, like where they check fractures. And I've seen that on like NTSB people, where they check if there's any fractures in the airframe, like of an airplane, or like with frequencies. It's kind of like a sonar. I've seen this thing before on like documentaries with airplanes. And he said that they do. I'm like, oh yeah, what do you do? You check the rockets? He's like, we do the rocket nozzles. He goes, because they go up and they come back down. So, yeah, and I'm like, oh, and anyway, and I asked him, I'm like, have you done it yourself? He's like, no, I haven't done it myself, but our company works with it. So typical. I'm like,
doesn't surprise me. All right, guys, thanks for watching.
And I'm
again,
like, anyway.
Appreciate you calling, and appreciate all the callers. Sorry we didn't get to a couple of the calls. Till next week, guys, this has been Jeranism and David Weiss. Peace.
See ya.
Truth Frequency Radio is your #1 source for news and information without the hate, hype, and fear. We're proud to feature cutting-edge programs like Beyond the Veil with Chris and Cherie Geo, X Squared with Brooks Agnew, Paranormal Portal with Brent Thomas, Jeranism RAW with Jeran and Missa.